Hi guys, welcome back to Two Stroke Running and Repairs. Today I'm doing a couple months review on some Tekton tools I got. So I've got the 3/8 long handled 90 tooth ratchet. Their extensions in their 3/8 drive impact sockets. I'll bring you in close and show you them and talk about what I like about them, some things that are a little bit of a critique but not a negative. And yeah, so let's get into this. Got all my impact sockets on this bit of a organizer that I made up. Deeps at the back, shallows at the front, 3/8 half, 3/8 half. So here are my 3/8 drive Tecton sockets, 7 to 19 in shallow and deep. Working on Foresters and other Japanese cars, I've only really used the 12, the 14, and then 17 and 19 on different bits and pieces, as well as the 10. And I have to say, I really do like them. They also work well on normal sockets and stuff. On impacts and stuff that have the split ring, or hog ring, or whatever you want to call to lock stuff on, they tend to work well and they hold on okay. And even on my ratchet with the spring-loaded ball detent, they hold on okay. But the one thing is the locking mechanism on these, you only have one hole. So especially on ratchets and stuff, locking ratchets, to get it to lock on, you have to have it lined up perfectly, either of the other four sides, and it just wants to slip back off. So that's lined up with the ball. If I move it quarter turn around, it works, but it just slides off. Don't need to push the ball detent. So that's a little bit of a only one thing I change is either have at least one other hole on the opposite side, or do what they've done on their swivel sockets and actually just have the little indents like they do on their chrome sockets, so that it works in all four orientations. Other than that, they're great. I love the big writing on them. It's really easy to see, and there doesn't seem to be any kind of likelihood of it rubbing off anytime soon. The black oxide coatings stuck on really well, even when I've had it rubbing against different metal parts and stuff. Haven't had a problem with them. And yeah, I love the 6-point design of these. It just, especially really rusty and tough bolts, it doesn't want to spin, which is important on impacts. The only thing that I would, other thing, is that with their smaller sizes, Tekton have gone for more of like a cone style to narrow it down to the end, whereas on set of Tool Pro ones I have, the way they've done it is they just neck straight down and then it's continuous size. I think that would be beneficial on the Tekton ones, just because a lot of those small fasteners are in really tight places and the cone kind of sometimes prevents you getting all the way in there. So that's probably the only thing I'd change. And you know, similar on the deep sockets, this one they go for the cone only probably 2 centimeters from the end, whereas this they've got it necked down a fair way so you can get in nice and deep. But that's probably the only thing I'd say about these sockets. I love using them and I'm so glad I invested in them. So here are their 3 impact rated universal joint sockets. These are a great alternative to having to buy wobble sockets. They're nice and affordable. The only thing is that they are the traditional rectangle with just 2 pins going through it style, so you can get almost a right angle. So sometimes you think you can get there, but then it doesn't want to actually turn and it just flips off. I know there's other styles where one bit's actually inset in the other. It's kind of hard to explain. They seem like they'd be a better option, but saying that, I've had these on 1/2 inch air impacts and stuff and they haven't broken yet on some relatively tough bolts. One thing I have noticed is if you do go too sharp of an angle, especially on this 1/2 inch one, the two sides actually rub on each other and have started to chew away the metal there. But apart from that, they're really great. The 1/4 inch one, for a 1/4 inch I don't have any other impact stuff, but compared to my normal chrome 1/4 inch universal joint, it's a little bit larger. But yeah, that's kind of understandable. It's an impact rated socket. They're impact extensions that I have. I've been using these relatively heavily. I find I want to go for the 6 inch one most of the time. I find that's the most useful length. Again, these only have one locking position on the ball, so if you want to put them on a standard ratchet or anything with a ball style detent, you have to have that lined up for it to lock. It doesn't lock on either side, and I think it would be good to do what they've done on their universals and just have a little detent on each of the other 3 sides so that you can lock a normal ball detent ratchet and stuff onto it. But aside from that, they work really well. The ball tents themselves on these, the spring loaded ones, do an okay job of locking stuff in. They do have a little bit of slop, but you don't want your sockets and stuff too rigid. And yeah, they did come from the factory quite scratched up and stuff, but once you get some oil on them and you wipe them down a bit, they tend not to notice them, and it just looks like normal wear and tear. So I'm really happy with those. And then probably my favourite tool, the 3/8 long drive 90 tooth ratchet. This is the locking head version, and I have to say, since I got this, I have barely used my 1/2 inch breaker bar for anything up to 19mm pretty much, and I've even used adapters to go 21mm and stuff. I have not had a problem with this. It gives you plenty of leverage. I was pulling the engine out of a Subaru the other day. I'm doing an engine swap, so I pulled the engine out of the donor car, and this was great for getting at some of the harder to reach bolts. Even if they weren't that tight, I got on them, and with my hand back here, rather than having to squeeze in, I was able to just manipulate it. This is the first high tooth count ratchet I've ever bought, and the 90 tooth now, I go back to my 48 tooth king chrome ratchet, which I thought was a high tooth count for me compared to what I'd been using, and this just feels clunky and big. You can hear the tooth count on that compared to the Tecton. I like this a lot more. One thing is that they had the switch lever and the release button coated in like a black oxide. That's worn off, just got scratched and scraped off, so I don't know what a solution to that, but still works fine. But I suppose similar things happen to the switch on the king chrome one. That's the other thing about this. The switch is really nice and smooth and soft. It's not clunky. The king chrome one, it's quite an effort and requires a fair bit of force to switch. The little concave in the release button makes it really easy to release, and I like that the release button sits up a little bit proud compared to other ones, so it means that you're not having to dig your fingernail down in to release it. It just releases nice and easily. The handle on this, I find it's quite a nice grip for my hand, and the 90 tooth mechanism, I've done some pretty tight nuts and stuff with this, and I haven't had a problem releasing it. I was undoing Subaru head bolts the other day with it because the only 12.14mm socket I had was a 3/8 drive, and it did jump once or twice, but the other 16 bolts it had not a problem with. I'm undoing wheel nuts on my Subaru. I had a flat tire and I figured I'd just use this, and I was putting a fair bit of weight on it and it didn't break. I've just keep the oil up to it, I've found, and it functions really well. So that's my review of these Tecton tools that I got in my tool haul a couple months ago. I'm really impressed with all of them, and I can't wait to buy more Tecton tools. Thanks guys for watching my tool reviews. This tool review, I hope you enjoy it. I'm just trying to mix up the content on the channel and go with what's happening at this time, because I'm not really fixing up many saws. If you want me to keep fixing up saws, I'll see if I can find some to fix up. But yeah, at the moment I've been doing car stuff, and basically the whole basis of this channel, you need tools. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.